57 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki, and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet, and making all the things here in Northwest London. You can find me online at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab on Ravelry, you will find our group right there. There will be a chatter thread in the group about this episode, so if there is anything in particular you want to talk about, there's the place to do it. I post links to everything I mention in the episode just down below, but if you want longer and juicier show notes, you can find them on my blog, which I will also link just down there. As always, a massive thank you to any new viewers. I really appreciate you giving the podcast a shot. Welcome, I hope you enjoy it. And of course to my returning viewers, thank you so much for coming back every episode. You guys are the best. Today's tea is in my swimming pool mug. It's very big. It is a lemon and ginger infusion. Long-term viewers will know that means I've got a bit of a scratchy throat. I'm not sick, but I do have hay fever, and it has started to kick in, and I have taken my antihistamines, but I always find they take a couple of days to really clear up all the symptoms, so I'm just nursing a slightly scratchy throat with some lemon and ginger. But let's dive straight into Whipped Up, because there is lots to share this week. This year, I really don't, because yes, I have foes this week, and yes, that was plural. I have not one but two finished objects this week, and in fact you could almost call them three. Let me show you what I mean. The first one I have living in my little grey girl time for tea bag. It's the first time I've used it, and if you watched last episode you can probably guess what's in here because I did tell you what was coming up. They're pretty tiny, so that's why I managed to cast them on and cast them off again in one day. I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know what's going on, but here it is. It's a tiny mitten! Isn't that so adorable? This is the Mini Selbu by Tina Haugland, and it is literally a mini Selbu mitten. And I knit this in Stranded Dye Works. The grey is the merino nylon First Frost, and the blue is her merino cashmere nylon in a custom dyed colourway. I had this custom dyed years ago when Amy was still offering that, and I had loads left over from knitting a stranded, no, not stranded affection. I had loads left over from knitting a colour affection for my mum. I then knit a second one that I called my stranded affection because it was all out stranded. So this is just leftovers, and I still have quite a lot of leftovers left. And it's just so cute. And I do have a pair. I haven't woven in all the ends yet, so they're technically not finished. But I'm just so proud of them. They are so cute. They don't have thumbs because babies don't need thumbs in their mittens. So what are they gonna do? Pick up a cup of tea? They don't need it. So I didn't have to knit super teeny tiny thumbs. But they are the traditional kind of pointed shape. They've got the little flower on. They're exactly like the ones that I knit for my nan last year. I think I finished them last year. Yes. And they are amazing. And I am so proud of these. Partly because I did finish them in one day. I cast them on in the morning and I had them both finished by the evening. Very proud of myself. But also, for those of you who do remember the Selbu knittings that I knit for my nan, I had no end of trouble with them. I had never knit colour work before, and I was basically using these as a learning tool. So there was a lot of ripping out, a lot of re-knitting, and a lot of back and forth like that. I didn't rip these out once, and I'm so proud of that. I'm looking at it now, and I think there's like a tiny mistake on the back here in the colour work, but it's fine. I'm not going to rip it out for that. It's just one little dot in the wrong place. And they do need a good block because they are a tiny bit lumpy. But there we go. Isn't that? Just look at that. I can only fit 2 fingers in there. That's how diddy they are. I'm just so happy with them. I can't believe I did this. This is ridiculous. There you go, just put them on. Put on the tiny mittens. Doesn't make you look like a crazy person at all. There we go. I would massively recommend this pattern. I feel a bit stupid doing this. Finger puppets. Hello, how are you? Ha ha ha. Madness. But I would really recommend these. They're really quick and simple. Like, you know, by the time you've done the rib and the stripes here, you've done like half the mitten, and the colour work does not take that long at all. The pattern is not in English. I believe it's in Norwegian, I think. But I had no problem following it. Any questions that I had, I just copied and pasted into Google Translate, and it was absolutely fine. I am an absolute colour work noob, and if I can do these, anyone can. And yes, there is cashmere in this. So this baby is getting tiny cashmere mittens, which is ridiculous. And I really hope they appreciate it. One thing I am going to do with these though, they are finished, but I'm just looking at them and I'm thinking what I might do is in the grey, crochet a long chain and connect them together so that they can be threaded through a cardigan or a jumper, and then they're not going to get lost. And then when the baby inevitably outgrows them, they can be like hung on a Christmas tree. So they're still kind of like in use, and they probably make quite a nice memory, and I think they're quite Christmassy. They're very Frozen inspired. They remind me of the colours in the film Frozen. I think there's the second Frozen film coming out soon actually, which I need to go and see because I love that film. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with these. I think they're adorable, and I can't believe that I managed colour work without ripping out once. I have tons of yarn left. It really doesn't take up that much yarn at all. And my boss at work is actually having a second baby, so I'm thinking I might make another pair. Not imminently, but I might make another pair in the next few months, probably reverse the colours. So make the main colour blue and have the little flowers in silver or grey, whatever. I kind of think this is silvery. And that would use up a little bit more of this, and then the rest will go into my blankets. My second finished object was oddly, ironically, the one that gave me most trouble. So whereas I thought, you know, I'm gonna have to cast these mittens on really soon and get them done because they're gonna take me ages because I'm terrible at colour work, and they flew off the needles. I cast on something that I thought would take me an evening, 2 evenings at most, and it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. There was so much unpicking. When you see what I'm about to hold up, you're going to roll your eyes so hard because you're going to be like, why was that difficult? You knit miniature mittens, colour work mittens in miniature, and you had trouble with that? But yes, I had trouble with this. This is the Garter Stitch ear flap hat by Pearl Soho. Everyone's knit them, they're amazing. Looking at it now, it's kind of massive. It definitely wouldn't fit me. No, it won't fit me, which means it'll fit a child, right? But I didn't want to do the super, super miniature version, so I did kind of the larger one. For throwing room, I figure they're going to be like bigger by Christmas and winter, so they'll need room to grow. Anyway, my point is that I actually found this really tricky to knit. And the reason for that is garter stitch in the round. Like, I love working in the round because you just knit. Knit, 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 knit. And it's fine, and you never have to purl. And then you get to garter stitch in the round and suddenly you're purling. And it was just, it really blew my mind. I was just struggling so hard. I was like, why is it coming out in stocking stitch? And it's like, I didn't purl. Oh, rip back, try again. I just was struggling so hard with it, and it was ridiculous. And yeah, I had to unpick this 3 or 4 times. But this is beautiful. I knit it in my leftovers of my Selby mittens, so there's clearly a bit of a theme here. This is the Knitting Swede Spartan DK in their Samarkand colourway, and it is gorgeous. And I think it's just right for the cold months because it's nice and jolly. It's like an orangey brick red, and it is squishy and gorgeous. And I would actually wear this. I was actually looking at the adult version and thinking, I would wear that because I'm not cool. I would wear a gnome tassel hat. I would wear that. And it's really, really cleverly done, and I really love it. And all I've got to do is weave in this little end. But my goodness, garter stitch in the round. Who knew? Who knew that would be so troublesome? Not me. I didn't know. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna do this little garter stitch hat and it'll be done really quickly. No, inaccurate. So I sat down yesterday while I watched RuPaul's Drag Race, I think, and the Sewing Bee, and I was determined to finish it, and that's why I'm actually filming on a Sunday, not a Saturday. So there we go. Those are my 2 finished objects for the week, and who knew? But the simple one gave me difficulties, and the one I thought would be tricky flew. Now, before we get into works in progress, I don't have any more faux, but I had, I had 2, 3 if you count each mitten as a finished object, because I had to finish each one individually. But I also have a hoe. Now, for those among you who are tired beyond the telling of it, of me pulling out these stripy socks week after week after week, breathe a sigh of relief, because I have actually finally finished one. I finished this earlier in the week, a couple of evenings ago, and I stayed up and did the Kitchener stitch. I was going to do it the next day at work, but I thought I'll just finish it now and start the next one at work. I've got to weave in the ends. I hate weaving in ends. Have you noticed? I just never do it, but I'll call it finished anyway. So I just got to weave in the ends on this. I love this. This is the vanilla sock by Meanwhile at the Castle, so I still use their videos when I get a bit stuck, and it is knit out of Rock and String Creations in the Seaside Treasure colourway. And yesterday, when I finally finished the little hat, I picked up my second sock, which I had cast on at work, and literally all I had done is the cast on. And I did all the ribbing and quite a good chunk of leg while watching the last couple of episodes of the Sewing Bee, because I was hugely behind. So yeah, I'm about halfway through the leg. So this one's going quite a lot quicker than that one did, which is, again, breathe a sigh of relief. This will go back to work with me tomorrow. Oh, no it won't, because I'm working from home tomorrow. It'll go back to work for me on Tuesday, and I will pop it in my desk drawer and it will come out every lunchtime. And the weather has been really beautiful recently, so I've been sitting outside with my lunch. I've popped a podcast on, and I have just sit and knit in the sunshine listening to a podcast, and it has been glorious. I was a little bit grinchy, Scroogey about the amazing summery weather we had in February, because beautiful as it was, and I sat outside and I enjoyed the flowers and I enjoyed the sunshine and I soaked up the vitamin D, I was like, it shouldn't be like this, it's February, this is wrong. But it has kind of gone back to normal now, and we are kind of edging into warmer days where I can sit outside with my coat on, to be fair. I've got my puffer coat on. Puffer coat? Puffer jacket. I've got a bright yellow puffer jacket, and I sit outside in that. But yeah, that's when I get most of my sock knitting done. Although, as I've just pointed out, I did do quite a chunk of this while watching TV yesterday, so that was good too. I have had an incredibly lazy weekend, really. I have done a lot, as you can no doubt tell, of just sitting and knitting, and I'm telling myself that that is fine because of the fact that I will be, this time next week, running a half marathon. Although, having just looked at the time, I'm kind of hoping at this point next week I will have finished said half marathon. It starts at 10, so I'm hoping to have finished it by kind of 12:15. Fingers crossed. So I'm hoping by now that I will be showered and eating, so wish me luck with that. But I have been very lazy. But it has meant that I've got a few things finished, so that's all to the good. I've got a couple of whips on the go. Now, the first whip I wanted to talk about is my Pavement. It's the Pavement by Vera Valimaki, and it is knit out of Stranded Dye Works merino nylon, and it is in her Industrial Kingfisher colourway. Now, I said something about this week I might have a full sleeve finished, but don't hold your breath. Well, I really hope you didn't hold your breath, because I absolutely don't. And there is a reason for that. I will come to it. But I'm going to show you this tiny sleeve again. And it doesn't look like I've done anything, but I have actually done 2 more rows than when I showed it to you last time. And the reason that I stopped is because I realised I was using the wrong needle. So as I kind of pulled it out to admire, I thought, oh, the stitches are quite small, aren't they, compared to the like yoke and the rest of the body. They're quite small. And I knit another row, and then I thought, no, this is actually kind of bothering me. Why is that? That's going to really annoy me. And I checked, and I was using the wrong size needles. Not sure how that happened. No idea how that happened. I think they might have just been in the bag, and I assumed they were the right needles. So I'm going to pull this out. I'm not going to pull out where I've picked up the stitches. I'm just going to pull back and put new needles on, and then I'm going to start it again. I just didn't get around to doing it this week. I was pretty annoyed with myself, and therefore didn't really want to do the unpicking and the re-knitting, even though it's all of an inch and a bit. So yeah, I'm a bit annoyed with myself for that. And I did kind of think, oh, I could just keep going, and like, as long as they're both the same, it doesn't matter. It would annoy me so much, so I'm just going to pull it out and do it properly. So technically it's a whip because I did put a couple more rows on it, but I do actually have to sit down and start again. But I have been quite good at a couple of other things. Now, I told you about forgetting about my Cozy Squares blanket last episode. And so I dedicated myself to finishing up all my Advent yarns. I was like, I'm going to get all of these done so I'm not stressing about the fact I'm still knitting on Advent yarns in March. And then when I finished them all, I only had one more square to do to finish that row, so I did it. I haven't done any weaving in yet. I need to have a really big wend weaving session. I need to have a dedicated end weaving session because there are lots. And I think that what I want to do is just do 3 a day. If I do 3 a day before I do my actual knitting, I'll get it done fairly quickly. But I want to go now and start doing 1 per week. But for the time being, this is what it looks like. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 rows, and they're 15 squares wide. It is very Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I love it. I reckon, oh, I don't know, double this, and then I can start thinking about finishing it. I think I would like a border on this. I'm not sure what colour or how to do it. I'm thinking a crocheted border in maybe a grey, but I'm not sure yet. So there we go, and as you can see, my shame. Where's the bell? Someone ring the bell. Shame. So many ends. So I might do that while I'm editing because that would be very good. But I love these. This in particular is Camel Silk by Travel Knitter, and oh my goodness, the colour. I don't know if I can wear that colour. No, don't think I can. I could wear that softness though. That is just, oh, it's like a cloud. It's just heavenly. It's so beautiful. And then down here, I've got really rustic sheepy wool. It smells very sheepy too, which is just, that is the wonder of this blanket. Like camel and silk, rustic, I think it's Shetland, something quite rusticy. And they're both sitting together, playing quite nicely together, and they're going to make a beautiful blanket. And I love, that's what I love about this. All different dyers, commercial, indie, all different sheep breeds, animal breeds, and that is what is great about this, and this is why I love it so much. So there we go. I don't think I've ever shown this blanket this far, this early into the year, so fingers crossed I can keep it up. I do this a lot really, don't I? Cross my fingers. I'm the one entirely in charge of this. I'm the one that can go, do you know what, Nikki, you're going to finish the blanket, you're going to do your sleeve, you're going to do this, that and the other. I don't know why I make out like I need luck. I don't need luck. I need to just do it. The last thing I want to show you, you may have guessed, because if I'm working on my Cozy Squares, I have been working on my Cozy Stripes. I've got it living back here in this little basket that actually lives at the end of my bed normally. And this is literally just everything in the Cozy Squares, but crocheted. This is half. I've got it folded in half to make it a bit easier to hold, because I don't quite have the wingspan to hold it all up. But she is a beauty. I love her. And this yellow, you can see just here, this is the first of my Advent yarns going in here. So there it is. I've wound it back so that the first yarn is on the outside, and it is huge. It's almost as big as my head, and it is, can you hear that? That is sturdy. That is, I could do some damage with this. I'd probably break a window with this. It's quite heavy. Yeah, so that's going to do a really big chunk of my Cozy Memories blanket. Cozy Stripes blanket. My Crochet Memories blanket. The crochet blanket. Oh God. You know what I mean, right? You know where this is going. So this is going to be my Nikki is Too Tired to Function project, because I can just go listlessly back and forth and not have to think. And sometimes I need that. We're gearing up to a very busy time at work. I have been promoted and I've got lots coming up and lots to do and lots. So I'm going to, I think, whiz through this quite quickly. There's those fingers again. So yeah, that's it for whips and foes and hoes. Whips and foes and hoes, oh my. So that's it for this week on that. But I was just thinking, like, I did quite enjoy sharing what's coming up, you know, imminent cast-ons or things that I want to be working on. And the cozy squares is a definite, oh, my hair's a mess. Oh dear. I'm doing really well this week, aren't I? So profesh. The cozy squares is going to be ongoing, so I want to make sure that I do a square today and a square next weekend, although next weekend I'm running a half marathon, so we'll see. I want to pick up the stripes, the crochet stripes, as and when I need to. Again, I'm not going to be too regimented about that really. And I really want to correct my pavement, so I think I'm going to dedicate myself to the squares, the pavement and that second sock. Because it's March, I need to get something cast off for my feet before it gets too warm to wear anything on them. So yeah, I think that's what I've got coming up. I feel quite good about that. And the sooner I get my pavement finished, the sooner I can cast on a cardigan and pick up my Kerry Town. I just don't have the headspace for the Kerry Town at the moment. Just, no. So now let's move on to knit and natter. And natter this week, it took me a while to think about what to talk about because I think you've probably heard enough about my running and I don't know what else to tell you about it beyond it's long. I go on training runs. It's next week. Don't know what else to say really. And I did consider asking my nan to join me for this week's knit and natter segment because she's the lady that taught me how to knit. We live in the same house. Take advantage, ask some questions. If you would like that, please do let me know. I might open a thread in the Ravelry group if you have any questions for her, and then I can, you know, I can ask her what you would like to know. The reason that we're not doing that today is because my little cousin, I say little, I'm about 12 years older than him, so he is little to me, but he's not actually little, he's about 20. Anyway, he and his partner have just had their first baby. They had him yesterday. I think it was in the early hours of yesterday morning. And to my surprise, they're actually coming around today to show the baby off. Personally, I think I'd want to go straight to bed. I think I'd be pretty tired, but if, you know, they're coming around for a visit. So my nan's quite busy preparing for that and getting all excited. So I will interview her or have her on here to chat another time. Well, that's a lot of waffle to say that that's not what I'm talking about this week. What I am talking about this week is the 100 Days project. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen on stories that I was kind of ruminating over this. I see it every year, and every year I kind of take a half-hearted run at it because I haven't prepared properly and I never get very far. I do maybe 2 weeks and I'm done. And I always end up going, right, well, I've got a year now to think about what I want to do next year. And then I forget. Of course I do. So I never have anything when it starts popping up on Instagram. I always have that panic of what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And this year I took a step back because I do want to do something. And I was like, but why do I want to do something? And the reason why I wanted to do something is because I clearly feel that there's gaps that I want to fill in my life. And the problem that I was experiencing before with trying to do the 100 Days project, and I should probably say, the 100 Days project is literally what it sounds like. You choose something to do every day for 100 days. And previously I have been quite worthy about it and I've gone, okay, I'm going to do yoga every day for 100 days, or I'm going to do a 5K every day for 100 days, or I'm going to do this creative new skill every day for 100 days. And because it's worthy and because it's like what I think I should be doing, I don't do it. That's probably why it tails off. But I am drawn to it, and I do like the idea of having a practice for 100 days and getting something positive out of it. So I sat down and I was like, what do I need? What do I need right now? And as I said before, work is crazy. I've got a promotion. We're coming up to a very busy period. and I'm hoping to get some travel booked in. I'm doing a lot of financial stuff because I'm looking at, you know, getting a house and all this stuff. It is all very exciting and I'm very lucky to be able to do it, but it is all very noisy. And what I really want more than anything else is some quiet time. So I was like, okay, how can I do 100 days of that? Something that I've really let slide over the past couple of months is my bullet journaling, and I have really noticed the lack of it. I noticed that I get quite anxious and my brain gets very busy and fuzzy and when I'm not emptying everything out onto paper. And I've also noticed that I don't sleep quite as well either. So I was like, I really need to get back into that, because apart from anything else, if I'm trying to organise my life and my work and my financial life, even more so, I absolutely need to get on top of things and keep them logged in my trackers, etc. So my plan is, I started yesterday and I'll be continuing today, getting my bullet journal up to speed, updated and ready to go. And I'm going to create a 5-10 minute self-care ritual every day. And I'm thinking that all that will be is after I've kind of put my pajamas on and I've had my dinner, I'm going to get into bed, I'm going to light a candle, I'm going to have some tea, preferably a pot of it, and I'm just going to go through my bullet journal. So I'm going to fill in my year in pixels, I'm going to go how was today, colour it in, I'm going to go through my to-do list, see if there's anything I need to add, anything I need to do, anything I need to cross off, check in on my financials, check in on my goals, and just have that 5 minutes of going, okay, where are you at? How do you feel? I'm also including a lot more of a journaling aspect in my bullet journal this time round. I've never really done that before. I've never used it as a diary, really. I've got a couple of diary pages in one of my older ones, and that was very much, I suppose that came out of like a feeling of being an extremist, and I felt so full of stuff. I just needed to get it out. And actually I don't want to get to that point. I want to journal a little bit every day. So I'm tying that in with tracking my cycle. So I'm going to check in emotionally, physically, how I am throughout my cycle. Just do 1 or 2 lines just to talk about how I'm feeling. And I think that daily check-in is going to be really good for me. I think it's going to give me time to decompress every day. It's going to give me time to go, okay, you're falling behind on this, so you need to kind of address that, and you're doing really well here, carry on, cheer yourself up. You're not struggling like you think you are, you're fine. I think that is always really good for me personally. I find actually checking in with things makes me feel really good. So a good example of this is I've kind of been avoiding dealing with my savings for a few months. By which I mean I haven't checked in on them. I used to track them as a bar chart, as a line graph in my bullet journal, and I haven't touched them in about 6 months. I haven't checked. And in my head, I had a figure for how much I had. And then I went in today to have a look and kind of start noting down and consolidating them all into one place and understanding what I've got and where. And I had more than I thought I had. This whole time when I was like, I don't want to look at it because I'm not going to have enough. And I've done all this saving and I won't even have that much money saved. And I looked and was like, that's significantly more than I thought I had by quite a way. So I'm really excited to actually check in every day and not let myself get to that kind of Eeyore point of like, oh, don't know why I'm bothering. So yeah, I'm hoping to take a little bit of quiet time every day and do that for 100 days. And you know, if it works out nicely and I enjoy it, I'm hoping to continue it beyond the 100 days. It's only 5-10 minutes a day, so it's not going to hurt. One other reason I think this is really good is that it's very transportable. So if I am away, if I go on holiday or I stay at someone's house or anything like that, I can just take it and a pen with me. You know, even if I'm not able, because I do a lot of like different colours for different things in my bullet journal. So even if I don't have all those with me, that doesn't matter. I can update that, you know, a couple of days later if I need to. It's not too urgent, but I can always take it with me with a pen. Anywhere I go, I'll be able to do it, anywhere in the world. So that's great, and I think that will really help me actually stick to it. And of course, I'm doing a double page spread in my bullet journal to track how many of the 100 days I actually do. Bullet journal inception. If you would like to know more about the 100 Days project, I will put a link down below so you can read all about it and about the women behind it. I recommend following the 100 Days project hashtag on Instagram. Again, I'll link it below, because it's really, really interesting and inspiring. It's really interesting and inspiring, and I really like seeing it pop up in my feed, so I'd recommend that. Are you doing the 100 Days Project? And if you are, please do let me know, either in the episode thread or in the comments down below, because I love hearing what people are doing and the stories behind it. But that's it for this week. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. And fair warning, I will be talking about running again, because I will have done my half marathon, and thereafter there will be a nice big gap where I don't talk about running until sort of the autumn, when I've got my next race. So run, I'm trying not to call them races, I'm trying to just call them runs. So have a lovely couple of weeks, and I will see you very soon for another cup of tea. Take care, bye.